David Pakman here at the National Conference for Media Reform in Denver, Colorado. I'm here with Craig Aaron, president of Free Press. Great to see you again.
Oh, yeah, great to be here. Great to be here with you, David.
So over the years, you and I have talked about a lot of different things, including things as the nitty-gritty of the cable industry and pricing, net neutrality, so many different things. For the next year, what's your big focus as far as the most important things to look at when it comes to media policy?
Sure. Well, I think there's going to be a lot because there's a new FCC chair is going to be named any day, and the old FCC chair left a big mess. So I think the things to really look out for, number one, media ownership. Somehow we're still fighting about this. I thought maybe we wouldn't have to be, but right now the FCC is pushing to loosen the rules so somebody like Rupert Murdoch can buy the Los Angeles Times. It's almost unfathomable after all the crimes we've seen committed that's possible, but that's going to be a fight that's going to come pretty fast. I think the other big front is going to be the internet. And the net neutrality fight is going to be coming back in a big way. There's a huge court decision coming down probably this summer or early in the fall, and if it goes as a lot of people expect, we could see the FCC really losing its ability to protect internet users.
Internet's interesting, especially since I've covered a lot of stories. Some are not really directly related to internet policy, but in a lot of senses, the legal system has kind of not caught up yet to how the internet is actually used. I mean, there was a really weird, of all things, a child porn ruling in New York that it eventually got changed, but it really just showed people don't really have an understanding, legislators, of how the internet is actually used. And I don't know what the system will be where there will be some kind of catch-up so that the legal system makes sense there.
Well, I think it's really tricky because the big companies know that that's a problem and they try to game it. So they go into Washington and they say, oh, don't worry, leave it to us, we're the experts. Let us write the rules, we'll show you how to do it. But what they're doing is chipping away at the basic consumer protections, the basic public interest protections that we've enjoyed. So that's why these policy battles that get kind of obscure, they get a little bit wonky sometimes, it's why they're so important, because the decisions being made now, we're actually going to feel the impact 10, 20 years down the road. So we're still catching up, but I worry sometimes that the AT&Ts and Comcasts of the world might be a step ahead. And so it's really important for the public interest community to start paying attention to what's happening in the basement of the FCC and the back rooms of the Capitol, because those decisions are going to really impact whether we have that free and open internet, where we have competition, whether the price comes down, more people get online, and frankly, whether when we go online, we're actually going to be able to get news and information about what's happening in our communities.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Is it harder to get people sometimes to realize how important issues of media policy are, because it's hard to gauge what you're not getting? In other words, as a casual news consumer, you might just turn on a few minutes of some kind of corporate media and you can evaluate what you see, but a lot of times it's more important to be thinking about what's not there, and it's hard to catalyze people around what isn't there sometimes.
No, I think it can really be a challenge, and the media by its nature sort of think, oh, it lulls you into complacency a little bit, right? Though the media is just something that happens to us, what can we do about it? I think what we're trying to do at this event is change that a little bit and get people to ask those critical questions as they're experiencing the news, and then to match the policies to that. Give me information about who's trying to influence me. Don't hide behind fake news. That ownership matters. That competing people out there fighting for stories and scoops really makes a difference on whether your elected officials are stealing from you or not. I mean, these are direct correlations. So I think it's a big part of the challenge we have. But the interesting thing about the internet is I think people are experiencing it in a much more personal way. Because yes, it's their source for news, but it's also how they get pictures of their grandkids. It's how they talk to their friends. So I think that's why you've seen in really net neutrality, SOPA and PIPA, these kind of obscure acronym-filled arenas, suddenly people are paying a lot of attention because they can really start to feel that impact in their daily lives.
In the last minute or so we have left, we are here in Denver. It's the National Conference for Media Reform. What really is the role of independent media as we go forward? The few outlets, or really the many outlets, but with comparatively smaller resources that are not owned by those few big corporations.
Honestly, I think it's more important than ever. I think that we've seen the commercial system fall apart in so many ways, so non-commercial and independent media, that's going to be where people are increasingly getting their information. We have a real challenge. We have to decide as a society, what are we going to do to actually support these things? If you're doing it right now, and you're watching this, you should lend your support. You should be supporting shows like yours. But in the long term, I think from a public policy perspective, we have to say, what do we need? And what we need is more independent and competing voices and policies to match that, so that people who want to do independent media aren't doing it on the side. It's not something they do at 11 o'clock after they put the kids to bed. It's actually something that's providing that service where people can make a living at it. I think that's what we need to have, and really, honestly, we need it more than ever, because as bad as the commercial media can get, so much of it's disappearing. The independents are going to have to fill in the gaps.
Craig Aaron, CEO of Free Press and President and CEO. It's incredible.
I'm expanding.
We should add a third one for next NCMR.
I'm going to work on that.
Here in Denver at National Conference for Media Reform.